Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in strong support of House Bill 125. Mr. Speaker, I would just like to speak from the heart today. I had the great pleasure during my time as a student at UAF traveling to several small village communities along the Yukon. And I want to tell a brief story. We were always tasked about our research with building community relationships as we would travel. And one time my mentor and I called our community partners and we asked, what can we bring on this visit to the community we were going to? And they said, bring fish. Because for over a decade at that point, that community had not been able to put a fish wheel in the Yukon. They had not been able to catch a singular fish, which for thousands upon thousands of years, this community had always been able to do. For decades, many families have been unable to put a fish or a fish net or a fish wheel in the water along our Yukon and Kuskokwim river drainages. We have seen stories, Mr. Speaker, in the past few years about flying fish in crates out to our communities. And I've also had the great pleasure of serving as the Tanana Valley Watershed Association's executive director, walking up the river in the Chena, which is the second largest spawning ground for king salmon in the entire Yukon. And year after year, what our research teams had found was fewer and fewer king salmon fry in the river, to the point where when I pulled out a small fry and the expert researcher who was with me identified it as a king salmon fry, she was utterly shocked. And she said, I haven't seen one in over 2 years. Mr. Speaker, what is happening in many of our communities in rural Alaska, in interior Alaska and Western Alaska is a crisis. And the reason I support House Bill 125 is because this is a bill about balance. Make no mistake, my hierarchy here is balanced. I represent communities which are suffering, where people's lives are at stake, where their culture, where their heritage, where their entire way of being has been challenged for so long. I should not be on the board of fish because of the bias that I hold. But what I appreciate about House Bill 125 is it effectively balances between the livelihoods of our communities that rely upon commercial fishing in Southeast or sport fishing for tourism development along the Kenai and South Central regions, and the lives of people along our river communities in interior and Western Alaska. House Bill 125 balances between the cultural preservation that we must undertake if these communities are to continue, and the economy and the communities that rely upon fish for so many other reasons that need this resource. House Bill 125 ensures that there will be voices for all in this very important, very nuanced, very detailed conversation, and that those voices will bring both balance and experience to the board. I am so incredibly grateful for the member from House District 38 for bringing this legislation forward. It takes a lot of courage to talk about this issue, and we saw that through our amendment process the other day. It takes a lot of courage to stand up and talk about what's happening in our interior and Western Alaska communities. It takes a lot of courage to talk about what's happened with our commercial fishing industry and the sometimes collapse of that industry. And it takes courage to balance those interests in a way that moves Alaska forward, that preserves the resource for us, for our future, and for the hundreds of generations down the line that I hope will continue to have salmon abundance and returns. Mr. Speaker, I am incredibly grateful to stand in strong support of House Bill 125 today, and I hope that members will vote yes.